So armed with that encouragement, I called Alvin Sargent, the writer, and I said, well, we've already got a carnival scene in this picture. Now, why don't we put a scene where, you know those old paper moons that people sit in and have their picture taken? He said, yeah. I said, well, let's have a scene where Addie goes and has her picture taken, tries to get Mose to do it, and then he won't do it. He said, why? I said, well, then we can call the goddamn thing paper moon. The studio will understand. That's what happened.
But if you would talk about, you did a black and white film, then you did a very successful color film, and you went back to black and white, and you really, I think, used deep focus in this film incredibly effectively.
Yeah, we did. A lot of it. I said to Laszlo, I want everything sharp. Those two little kids, you see them back there in the yard, I want to see them playing back there. And Laszlo did a great job.
This is Laszlo Kovacs, who was one of the great cinematographers.
Yes, he started with me on Targets. He was wonderful. He died recently, poor guy.
And really helped define the look, in a sense, of 70s cinema with
Yes, he did Easy Rider and 5 Easy Pieces. He was the sort of the best cameraman of the era. He and Vilmos Zsigmond, who both of them escaped from Hungary together. Yeah, I wanted everything sharp. I asked Orson Welles why he had once. I asked him once why he always had everything sharp in Citizen Kane and in Touch of Evil, in most of his films. He said, well, I don't know. He said, it's the way the eye sees. I thought, why should we let things go soft? And I felt the same way. I hate things out of focus. Because I think when it's out of focus, it's as though we're saying these people are separate from their background, separate from their environment, separate from their milieu. And really, they're not separate. They're very much a part of it. And when the background is sharp, then you feel them always part of their, their place. And the place in a picture is just as more important a character as the characters, I think.
And I think that's very true in this film, where place has is almost a character in the film.
It is, yeah. The same thing in Picture Show. That was pretty sharp too. You have to use wide-angle lenses and throw in a lot of light.
That's a lot of light, which of course is very tough on the actors.
Sometimes, yeah.
And you also did something stylistically extraordinary in this film. You had extremely long takes. Some of the scenes in the car, I think, were close to 10 minutes, and it was one take. There were no cuts. And where did
that was very tough. The one scene with Tatum and Ryan at the end of Act 1, when they sort of get solidified. I said to Alvin Sargent, we need a scene at the end of Act 1 where they get into a big fight and they argue and they almost break up, and then they end up more solidly together than ever. And that takes us, that's the end of Act 1. That's the end of puts a period on it. So he wrote a wonderful scene, well, we're running out of Bibles. Well, why do you tell me we're running out of Bibles? Well, you look in the box too. Oh, you got an excuse for that scene. And, well, I decided that it was very important that be in one shot and that there be no cutting. Because although it's a scene with an argument in it, they're family. Family arguments get loud, but they're still family. They're not going to break up. And I just wanted the audience to I just wanted the camera to sort of put its head on its, like that, and just watch these two people having this discussion. Well, that was a hell of a difficult shot. Because Tatum, all Ryan had to do was this. And we were pulling the car with a camera car, so he didn't have to drive or anything. She had a map, and she had a box a cigar box and a radio. She had all this business to do.
And dialogue.
And dialogue on top of it, a lot of it. And, well, as you might remember, we passed a truck with some people in it, and she says, Mose, can we give them some money? So they had to be in the back of the shop. And we found a road that only had about 1.5 miles where there were no anachronisms, like a sign that wouldn't work or something like that. And because we were pulling the car, we couldn't just turn around. It was a narrow road. So if we started and we passed the truck and Tatum went up or Ryan forgot a line, we had to go all the way down a mile and a half where there was a side road, back out, turn around, go all the way back, and do it all over again. Well, we did it 25 times the first day, and we didn't get through it, even once. Ryan came over to me, he says, I'm going to kill her. I've done 5,000 Peyton places, and I lived through that, but I'm going to kill her. It's all right, Ryan, we'll call it a day. So we didn't shoot anymore that day. We went away, we got rained out for 2 days. We came back, we did it 15 more times. And I don't know exactly what we got it one of those times, one of the 15. And the sun came out in the shot that we got. In fact, the funny irony of it is that Ryan flubbed one word. We fixed it in post, but he flubbed one. Tatum said, "You flubbed a word."
When you look,
but it was very important to do that. The same thing with the girl, the black girl, and Tatum in the back of the truck when they talk about when they smoke and they so that was also without a cut. You know, there's something about when you get the actors to do that, it gives a feeling of verisimilitude. It's like nothing's interfered. I'm not interfering. I'm not telling them what to look at. I'm not telling the audience what to look at. You decide to look at one or the other. And it draws you into the scene. I think the audience isn't aware of it, that it's not a cut, but something about the continuity of it draws them in. I'm very much a believer in that. I once asked Orson what he thought was the difference between getting a scene in one shot or cutting it up into pieces. And Orson said, well, we used to say that was what separated the men from the boys.
but you also have that wonderful scene in the sheriff's office, which is all cuts. Aren't there like 80 cuts in that sequence?
About 47 different angles in a tiny little room. It was very funny. We had a lot of setups in that, yeah.
And I think
sometimes you have to do that.
Well, it very effectively builds the suspense in that scene. Because and also I think Tatum is so good with the hat. It's a great business with the hat. I know you weren't at the Academy Awards the night that she won, and neither was Ryan. Did no one expect her to win, or did people feel she really should have been nominated for Best Actress rather than Best Supporting Actress?
Well, it is the lead. I mean, it's, you know, the picture opens in a close-up of her, I think, in case anybody was doubting what the picture's about. She's the lead. But I think they were afraid if she was nominated for Best Actress, she wouldn't win because they wouldn't give it to a little girl. So they gave her supporting actress. With Madeline, really should have won supporting actress, and Tatum should have won Best Actress. Ryan, I think, was hurt that he wasn't nominated, and I think I was a little peeved that I wasn't nominated, so we didn't go.
So Tatum was there.
I watched it at home, and when she won, I said, "Holy shit, she won."
You know, they used to give out a little Oscar for child performances, and she, I believe, was the first child to win the big one.
Yeah, she's the youngest person ever to win an Oscar. She was 8. She turned 9 right at the end of the picture when we finished shooting, and she was 10 when they gave it to her. She still holds the record. She is wonderful in the picture.
She really is, and there's so many times where all you need is a look on her face, and no dialogue is needed. And I really believe that's the performance that you were responsible for.
Well, you know, yeah, she'd never acted, so it was a question of working very closely with her. And we got along very well, and she listened to me, and yeah, well, it worked. That was the point.
It definitely worked.